Welcome to the Space Jam.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Nerd Holes. Tonight, Will and I are sitting down to discuss our thoughts from Sonic the Hedgehog 2. We talked about the first movie a couple weeks ago. So if you guys haven't seen that video, check that out before you watch this video. And I would say from this point on, we're going to do like full spoilers for the movie.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
just get right into it.
the-
It's an older movie, so
yeah, it's almost like a full year, I think, right? Almost.
I think it's a little bit more than that.
Oh, okay. I thought it came out like in March or April of last year.
Oh, maybe it did. Yeah.
I just don't remember. I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I think it was last year or the year before. So it's not super old, but it's not super current. So
Yep. Spoilers be had.
Spoilers be ahead. So
Yep.
Overall, what's your opinion of the second installation?
Yeah, it's interesting. I like it a lot more than the first one. It has a lot more like video game references, and Robotnik is much more like into his full like villain character from the games. I just felt like it was paced kind of strange. That was like my only. I feel like the first movie, if you had the pacing of the first movie with this movie, I'd have almost no complaints. It just felt like they jumped around a lot and did a lot more stuff, and it was like a little more harder to follow than the first movie, because it's like you have the whole mushroom thing in the beginning. It cuts to him doing the bank robbery saving thing.
Oh yeah.
Then back to he's now on the lake, to them leaving her for Hawaii. He has the party. They blow up things. He goes to Siberia. They have the dance. It was just like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
But I think honestly, what the issue is it's not so much that like the movie is edited weird or the pacing is bad. It's just more of like, I am an adult watching a child movie, and children's entertainment has to be faster. It has to be what do they call it? Their attention spans shift so quickly.
Yeah.
So like if the scene isn't moving and isn't changing and they're not introducing a new idea, kids like don't pay attention. They don't like latch onto that type of stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think honestly that's probably really what it is.
I can see kind of what you're talking about as far as like the scene changes and stuff. Yeah, I mean, yeah, because like the bank heist thing in the beginning is kind of like out of place. It's just kind of setting up that like Sonic is trying to like do good, trying to be a hero, right. And then he goes back to Green Hills. But from that point from like the Siberia to Hawaii point, I mean that's pretty much like the last couple spots of the movie.
Yeah.
For the most part, it's like Siberia to Hawaii, then even that like temple is off of Hawaii.
Yeah.
And then after that, they fight Robotnik in Green Hills again.
Yeah.
So it's I see what you mean. It kind of bounces around.
Yeah, I guess too. It just felt like they just got to places fast, but it makes sense because he's using the rings, and he didn't have the rings in the first movie. So like they were more grounded. It was more of like a buddy movie where he has to travel from place to place with what's his name there? I can't think of the guy's name, but yeah. Donut Lord, but I can't think of his real name.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you though. I like this movie so much more than the first one. It's just it's a bigger cast for one.
Yeah.
It seems more like not family friendly, but it seems more like heartfelt too, as far as like characters like becoming friends, and it's got that kind of like feel good vibe to it,
Yeah.
And there's a lot more like references to like games and shows and
So many
that I
more.
enjoy. Yeah, I enjoy. The
Yeah,
thing that we it's funny in the first movie we were talking about like how much we enjoyed like the slow motion scenes,
yeah,
and then this movie there's like two like short ones too, like not super long.
right.
Yeah,
It's interesting how they didn't yeah, like they kind of shied away from all that stuff. Like you would
yeah,
think that they would kind of um do a little bit more, but like we were talking about, they did the laser thing, which was fun with the snowboard. Like they did that scene that was kind of slow motion.
yeah. I like that.
Couple of the attacks that Knuckles does were in slow motion.
Yeah, that's true because they're showing off that like Knuckles is just as like fast and powerful as Sonic.
Yeah,
And I think honestly, like if I'm not like nitpicking, I think I would say like the reason that there's probably not a ton of like slow motion scenes is because they're not really like emphasizing Sonic's speed in this movie. He's more grounded because he's starting to become friends with Tails, and
right.
Tails doesn't have super speed. So everything they do, like they're traveling on a plane, they're walking through the tundra, they're not like running everywhere.
It was kind of weird though, because it was like you said, like they kind of play off that like Tails doesn't have super speed, but like when he first shows up,
Yeah,
he does his
he turns
tail
it like,
thing and he goes, "Wow," and I was like, oh, okay. I remember because they did it was the end of the first movie.
mm-hmm.
They show him doing that, and then at this movie they show the same scene essentially. But then there were
Yeah,
scenes where like he didn't have super speed, and I was like, well, doesn't he if he flies? Like I don't know. It
mm-hmm.
was just
Well, the first time he shows up is he's driving a cop car. So it's like
yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
they're sure. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird if they got rid of that scene where if they just had him fly into Green Hills
Right.
and not do like the yellow like zip line, I would feel a little bit more like okay.
Right. Right.
But
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't
still,
ruin the movie
yeah,
or anything.
no, it doesn't. It doesn't
Yeah. No.
really. Yeah, it doesn't do anything pro like against it either. It's just interesting. But I really love like all the special effects and stuff, like
Mm,
Sonic and Knuckles fighting and the red like sparks and the blue sparks
yeah.
and
Yeah.
that
Him
that
hold that scene where he's holding him
yeah
when he's like the ball and Knuckles is like holding him
yeah
as the ball. That was a cool scene.
yeah yeah. I appreciate too how they like get right into it too.
True.
Like Robotnik is coming back,
You're right.
and it's not like they really play that out. It's like the movie starts with Robotnik. You see Robotnik how he's you know putting sticks together to make a satellite beacon, and and then he gets out of there and he goes right to the house like
Yeah.
immediately. He doesn't even like get his suit or like robots or anything. He like goes right to
Right to
Green
him. Yeah.
Hills. I like that as like a villain. Like that's his single goal. So why would you
Yeah.
delay the
It
meetup
was
again?
kind of. I did like how it just. Yeah, he did just sort of show up. I also enjoyed that his like party alone at the house with the dog scene too. Like the lead up
Yeah.
to that was really good too.
Yeah, so that's not
So,
like a slow motion scene, but like you see like how fast he like cleans the living room and stuff.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So like you see more of his speed that's not just like super slow motion.
True.
So I don't know. I'm sure that's a pain. I'm sure that's a pain and expensive to animate like the like slow motion scenes.
There were a couple things in there, and I was just like, this must just be awful to animate. I mean,
Yeah.
really, like
Oh yeah.
them, like them animating Tails and him dancing in the Siberian like bar pub thing.
And multiplied. Yeah.
Oh, I was like, this
Copy
can't be
paste.
fun.
So
And the thing is, yeah, go ahead. I was just gonna say
did
too.
you watch did you watch like remember last time we were wondering like how they what they use for like substitutes for like Sonic as far as like acting towards?
I think you showed it to me, or I found it, where it's like some of it was like a ball, like it
Yeah.
was nothing, or it was just like a little thing. but they had like a life size
Yeah.
like
Yeah, so
dummy.
like so they had like a kind of like a weird life-size dummy in the first one and like a ball with a stick like they usually do. And then in the second movie, I found that they had like life-size, like full
Oh
scale, like Sonic and Tails and Knuckles,
wow,
like full size, like built, look just like their characters. And they just kind of like move them around so they could get like a good idea like where they would be in the shot. And
that's pretty cool.
it was kind of cool.
The
Yeah.
thing that that made me laugh a lot was I really enjoyed Knuckles' character. Like I enjoyed
Mhm.
how his character was. But the thing that it always took me out of the movie was it just sounds like Idris Elba. That's all it
Yeah.
sounded like.
Like,
And it
why
was
is
hard for me.
Idris Elba so mad?
Yeah, like yeah, I don't know. It was like one of the first times all I hear is him talking. I don't hear like Knuckles talking. Because at least the Sonic thing, he's a little different than like normal Ben Schwartz talking.
Yeah,
He did
sometimes,
do
but
the
sometimes,
Parks thing.
yeah,
He did.
he did. It's a direct reference. It's so funny.
Yeah.
The wind.
That was funny. Actually, I laughed.
Yeah, I just kept waiting for Knuckles to open up the gate to the
Yeah.
Rainbow Bridge,
The Rainbow Bridge. Yeah.
the Bifrost. But
Yeah,
I like I don't know, I like his voice in that role because it's
Oh
like
yeah, I
that.
love it.
It's really good. But we
No,
know
I
him
love
from so many other things that
Sure. Yeah. I did like how everything he would say something and then he would be like, "Why does that have to happen? I do
yeah,
not
he's very
understand." Oh, it was very good. Yeah.
so the Knuckles scene that gets me laughing is the scene where Robotnik and Stone are they have like the text, like the phone text on the screen,
Oh wow.
and they're
Yes.
reading, and he's like, Knuckles is just a quiet night in dot 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 dot, and he,
They like back at
I don't
him.
know
Yeah.
why, but it's so funny.
And then he's
So
like,
funny.
just chilling and watching TV or whatever. And then he's like,
The
"All
hedgehog
right."
is at the house. Let us go. Dishonorable, right? He always says
Yeah.
dishonorable. He's a yeah. I do like that character.
That was
I
good.
like all his lines and stuff.
That was good.
What's the thing at the end? He says that's funny too. As he's like, yeah, that sounds
Oh,
good. I don't what's ice cream? And they're like, oh, it's a dessert. And he's like, oh, dessert. Does it have grapes? Like, no, it doesn't have grapes.
Yeah, the baseball thing. Yeah. Why am I mad at the ball, the baseball, or whatever? Yeah.
I have defeated the ball. I have taken this base. And this base.
The first base is mine. The second base is mine. Yeah, that was good.
But again, even like we were talking in the first one, like the animation, like when they do like close-ups of like their gloves and stuff,
Yeah, the
it's like
texture.
so detailed. The texture is like insane.
Yeah, like especially
Um,
after
The sand part.
yeah, the like it floods. The temple like floods, and
Oh
they're
yeah.
back up on the beach, and he saved Knuckles. Like the sand on Sonic and on Knuckles is not just
Well,
like
because they're throwing it at each other.
right.
So it's like it's on their gloves. Like you can see like the sand, like like individual sand grains on the like felt
It was nuts.
and like
It was
in their
nuts.
hair and stuff. And they look wet too on top of it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's crazy.
I tell you, I between that and the snow stuff, some of the snow was on him. I
Mhm.
was like, I just was like, especially the sand. I was like staring at his
Yeah.
hands and like his mouth and like his quills and stuff. I was just
Yeah.
like, I was kind of missing what they were saying, like dialogue wise. I was just like, oh wait a minute, like what? Wait,
It's
they're
very
having a moment
impressive.
here. Yeah, it was
It's very impressive, especially because I keep always going back to like what it was, what it could have been, and not that
Yeah.
the animation was like terrible because it was realistic and it looked realistic. It just
right.
was it was a weird design, but to get like what we got now and like how detailed everything is,
Yeah.
I don't know. When Sonic and Tails walk into that like Norwegian bar,
Yeah.
oh, and they're wearing like the disguise.
Yeah.
Like they don't really look like super out of place, honestly.
No.
Like the blend
Needed the
between
right.
like an animated creature in like real clothes on.
Yeah.
It was like it's so like seamless almost.
I almost wonder if they were real. If they
I'm
were
sure.
real like mannequins with clothes on, and then they just like green screened their eyes inside the goggles.
Yeah, just animated the eyes.
Yeah, you would think. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy though.
It was, yeah, that's very true. It was very I don't know. I mean, these movies are like 2 years apart, so it's like it's hard to know if they, I mean, there's probably information out there, but I was just thinking like, did they in like a year and a half make this animation, or did they already have this in the chamber ready to go because they seem to be making like a trilogy? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting that like you said, like like when Tails shows up, it's the exact same scene that they like tease.
Right,
And it's not different, and Tails doesn't look any different. So it's
right.
if they made that ahead of time, like as like a test footage for like Tails
Yeah,
and based everything on that, then it's tells me that they've been like animating parts of this movie back
yeah.
then too. Because they
And the
would have
thing
had
I,
to like they would have had to like come up with like Knuckles design like way ahead.
oh, way ahead, way ahead.
So
The other thing I was gonna say was that the other thing I liked a lot was that they literally like brought like everybody back from the first movie,
mhm.
and I just like it was one of those things I
Yeah.
didn't expect. So it's like not only did they bring back Wade, who I didn't think
Mhm.
was going to be in the movie because like they're not in Green Hills,
You can't have Green Hills
and like
without Wade.
yeah, I just didn't think we were going back to Green Hills, and then like her sister and that
Oh yeah.
and like the Admiral General guy, like all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like I didn't
I
think.
when I rewatched this, I totally forgot that like that even happens in the movie. I
Oh,
totally
okay.
forgot that the FBI was there, like it was all like Operation Catfish.
Yeah,
And so that guy that she's marrying is funny because he's like one of the main guys in Criminal Minds.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And he's like such a like a very like prominent actor in that show. And to have him come in and just do like this small like role
Yeah,
is pretty great.
it was pretty good.
And I feel like her
Yeah,
sister wasn't as annoying in this movie as she was in the first movie.
no, no.
I really do love that scene where she like she's driving the golf cart. She's like, Randall. And she like power slides, and as she
Like
like power
steps
slides,
out.
she like walks out. That's
Yeah,
pretty good.
it was really good.
But it makes sense
Yeah,
that like the FBI and the they knew they knew. But my thing was like, okay, so what if Sonic like didn't show up to the wedding?
right.
Then what would have they had?
Yeah,
But I even love that they like reference when they see the general. They're not like, oh, that's a general. Like, aren't you the Olive Garden guy? Aren't you the guy that like gives out Olive Garden gift cards?
yeah.
So it's like a
It's pretty.
throwaway thing at the end of the movie that
It's one of those things that like it's one of those movies that like you think like oh it's just a silly kids movie and whatever it's video game movies are typically very terrible and blah blah
Mhm.
blah, and
Yeah.
then you go and watch these things, especially for me being watching them so close together. It's like there's so many callbacks, there's so many like continuations of
Yeah.
characters, like the things that they introduce in one are carried over to two seamlessly. It's really amusing like how well thought out and how like orchestrated it all is. It's
Yeah.
really, I didn't think it was so put together, which explains why it's so well liked, because it's not just like a good Sonic movie, it's also just like a good,
It's a good movie.
like two good movies put
Yeah.
together. And it seems like whenever this third one comes out, probably in 2 years, that you know
Yeah.
like that'll be make sense too.
Yeah. Like I could watch this again like this
Yeah,
weekend and like enjoy it again.
yeah, yeah,
But I liked watching them back to back. I like getting more details out like back to back.
yeah. You don't forget quite as much.
No. But as far as as far as video game references,
Oh yeah.
um, what did you pick up on? I picked up on a couple.
Um, the cell phone theme song, his cell phone ringtone
Yeah. Yeah,
was
as the
like the
original.
yeah. Hmm. Trying to remember it all now.
Yeah. So the temple
Hmm.
where like the emerald was, it's
Yeah.
kind of like is based on like that water level in the second game.
Okay.
Um and I hated that level. Like I could never beat that level as a kid. And they made so like he
Oh
can't
yeah.
swim. He
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
swim, which is like a very like Sonic thing. Like especially in that level, like you're always trying to like hit like pressure switches to get like
Mm-hmm.
the air bubble, and you have to like get the air bubble, and you're always like on a timer of like drowning.
Yeah.
So like him and
I remember.
Knuckles being like stuck underwater, and I don't remember. I don't think they added the sound effect in
I don't think so.
because in
They
the
also
game when
didn't
you
do.
run out of air, Sonic like gasps for air, and
Oh.
it's like the oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. But the thing going along with that, it made me. I remembered like when he's trying to save Knuckles, he's like sucks in the air bubble, and
Right,
that's like
right, yeah,
right from the game. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Obviously, the Master Emerald is a
Yeah.
very big like video game
Big,
thing.
big, big, big thing. Yeah.
But even in the end of the movie, when it breaks apart and he's got all of the emeralds, like you can see all of the
Yeah.
chaos emeralds. I think they're the same color as the Infinity Stones. If I'm,
Probably.
you know,
Probably. Um,
put them together.
you and I were talking about well, I guess right. We found out they're called badniks.
Oh,
You were
bad
talking about
Nicks.
the one of them looked like the Hornet guy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah, or
think that was
B
it.
or
I think that was
whatever.
like the only robot, Doctor Robotnik's robot that like kind of looked like anything.
Well, so my thing is I don't remember it from the games at all. Was the giant robot from the game? I don't
Yeah,
remember that.
I think you fight a giant robot,
Oh
and
wait,
if
maybe
not,
is it like only from like the chest down
yes,
and it's just
yeah,
his head and
that's how I'm picturing it. You're hitting like his dome,
it up? That makes
and
sense.
even if even if it's not like the comics and cartoons and everything, like
Mm,
Robotnik was always building like robot suits and basically like Iron Man armor.
yeah,
The thing
always
that we
something.
were the thing that we were talking about earlier was it's interesting that like the robots aren't because like
Yeah,
the story of like Sonic is that he's always every time you jump on a robot, a badnik in the game, it like
yeah,
releases like an animal. So like Dr. Robotnik is taking animals and turning animals into like machines.
yeah. I am surprised they haven't touched on that yet. Like that, there's animals inside of it. But
That's even how like most levels. So after you beat the boss for like, the game has like a main level has like three acts. In act three, you fight a boss. After you beat the boss, you leave, and instead of going through like the sign like you usually do, you jump on top of
yeah,
that like machine that's like holding all the animals, and you release all
yes,
the animals at the end. It's like a very
yeah,
like video game thing.
true.
And I don't remember seeing any reference like in either movie that like he releases animals or helps animals
Anything.
escape or something.
Yeah, me either. Yeah, I don't
Which
remember
is
that. Yeah.
which
So
is
this,
fine,
I think this is how it's not going to work, but
Oh wow.
no,
Mm-hmm.
it's really not going to work.
Looks great.
Let me get rid of my background here. None.
Oh,
Um,
oh
where's my camera? There it is.
yeah. Oh yeah. I remember that level.
So this seems like it's the end boss guy. Like
Yep.
that must be how it
That's
ends
the
for
that's the level where like the water comes up and you're trying to like change the tracks, and yeah, I hated that level too.
So now it makes me think that like now I get more interested in thinking, does the first game, is it just his ship and you smash it, and then the second game is a robot, and then like what's the third?
Oh yeah.
Like, like
I don't know. I don't know. So I know the first game you fight, the first time he's like in his egg thing with the chain, ball and chain.
yeah.
What's the boss battle in the second level? Man, I don't know.
That's what it seems like. It seems like it was that robot guy in the second one. Seemed like it.
Hmm. There's a
But
lot of boss fights too, so I don't know. I don't know if he like progresses in every game. He like progresses up to like a robot suit.
maybe that's true. The one thing while looking things up, the other thing that they referenced, which was like a big reference, was Tails inside the biplane.
Yeah, the plane.
Like,
The planes are really big.
yeah,
There's a whole level where Tails is. I don't remember if you're flying, like as the gamer, if you're controlling the plane.
yeah, I don't remember.
But I think it's so in the second game, after you beat a level, you do like the racetrack. And I think one of
Yeah,
those or a few of those is Tails in the biplane, and you're flying. You're flying the plane.
I do remember this. Yeah,
I think there's even a part in the game where like Knuckles is on the back and Knuckles like jumps off early because you're all three of you are going somewhere to like stop Robotnik.
probably. Yeah,
It's been so long since I played.
same. And like, I don't remember him getting the Emerald Crystal like Robotnik and like all that stuff. I just don't remember it.
Mm-mm. No, I definitely think that's more like modernized. I even was trying to look up to see if like his green like suit was like a nod to something. And I think it is. I think there's like a comic issue where Robotnik has like a green
Oh,
suit.
that makes sense. That makes sense.
But I really like I enjoy that part in the movie where he gets the
Hmm.
power and he becomes like a sentient like robot being essentially, you know.
Yeah. That was cool. It was really cool, actually. I liked how
It's fun.
then they like animated his like when Jim Carrey would do stuff, they like animate it. You know what I mean? I really
when
like
he
that.
first when he first shows up, when
Hmm.
Robotnik first shows up and he's like and he's got the power and he's like, I've elevated to 3.1 and he's doing like the
Yeah,
he's doing like the controls, like the
remake.
sound controls. Oh, so funny.
Yeah, yeah, that was really good. I really enjoyed
It's
that.
really good. I like when a villain gets like the like a touch of the power at the end.
Yeah.
It's just fun because then it makes the stakes a little bit higher for the hero to like rise up. You know, that's what makes a
Yeah,
good ending is like, Sonic
yeah,
basically has given up
yeah.
and then he goes Super Saiyan. Which I
Yeah.
remember reading that like Sonic Sonic 2 came out after like Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z came out like I think 80s, sometime in the 80s.
Yeah.
And like that introduced like Super Saiyan. So like the Chaos Emeralds were very much like a nod to like Super Saiyan. So that's why he
I
goes
can.
gold and he becomes like ethereal and
Yeah. I can imagine. I mean, it makes sense. It was
yeah.
very popular in the '90s to have
Oh yeah.
for all
Is there
that stuff.
anything more cool than somebody getting like so much power that they just
Yeah.
like radiate? Yeah.
Yeah.
But I love that in this movie where he goes supersonic and he's like gold.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
And they I don't think really in the first movie too, like they really lay on the chili cheese dog
Yeah.
a
That's
lot in
a,
this.
I think that's a cartoon thing where he was always
Yeah.
talking about chili dogs. So
Yeah.
I love that when Knuckles is like, no, he's gone. He's it's not the Sonic that you know anymore. He's obsessed with power, and he like
Yeah.
summons this like lightning storm, and it just like summons a chili dog.
Ah. Oh.
And then even to the point right where he says, what does he say at the end? He goes, He goes, yeah, the golden god thing is cool, but blue's always been my color. I've always looked better in blue.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So then they swear that they're gonna protect the emerald from
Oh
people
yeah,
who want its power. So then whatever, you forget about it. In the end of the movie, they're learning how to play baseball, and then
yeah.
they drive off. They drive off, and the emerald's
It's
just
just
in the ice box.
yeah.
Oh my god!
He's like, oh, I can't forget this.
But how funny is it? So McKenna watched it with me, and she goes, "What's the deal with Tom? Why can't Tom buy like a full size truck? Like I don't get it." And I was like, "Oh yeah." So in the first movie, I said, "Well, actually, he's a trader to begin with. In the first movie, he's driving a Tacoma, and now in this movie, he's driving a Colorado. So you're
Wow.
telling me the Toyota guy now he's buying a Silverado, a Chevy,
Yeah.
Colorado? No way." But it's funny that he in both movies he has like a small truck, like a small
He
size
does have a
truck.
small truck. Yeah. I don't
It's
know.
just funny.
Yeah. You would think that he would.
I mean, I'm sure it's
Yeah.
product placement and
Wow. Yeah.
advertisement revenue.
Yeah. That's yeah.
It's just
I
funny
mean,
too
does
because like that Colorado at the end is not like it's not stock. It's like all like it's all tricked out anyway. It's all
oh
like
gotcha.
aftermarket. So,
Hey, speaking of that, because at the end of that scene, it reminded. I literally thought of you when we were talking about at the speed trap in the first movie when he's like has the thing and then he's in the background. It's like yeah, like that.
yeah.
When he says to him, race you to the car," and he runs. Tom runs, and Sonic goes, and then he's like, "No, don't hold it back, really going." And when he's running to the thing, Sonic like speeds to the car and then like lays on the car, like slides over the top of the car, like posed,
Yeah.
like
Like
yeah,
Dukes of
like
Hazard. Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Hmm.
And it made me think of you because it was like one of those subtle, like if you're not looking at him, you can kind of miss it
Yeah. You
type of
don't see
thing.
it. Yeah. You don't see it.
Yeah, I
Yeah. It's
like the
just,
I like the long claw stuff. I like that she came
oh,
back
yeah.
and they played out that scene with Knuckles like village essentially,
I
like all
like
that stuff
that.
that the movie opened with. They immediately called back to this thing, and it wasn't
Yeah.
like
Because
stretched.
it's this thing where like Knuckles shows up and you're like, okay, I don't know who this character is. I don't know how he ties in. Why
Right,
is he working with Robotnik? And it's basically that one scene like explains like, yeah, so my family went off to like fight for our like right to like have the power of the emeralds.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And they were all, they all died or whatever. But in Sonic's like I was just a kid too. I didn't know what side was what was going on. And
right,
you know what I mean? Like I lost everything that day too. I had to leave the planet.
right. Yep. Yeah, it was a cool. I really liked all that stuff.
Yeah. And then
Even
Knuckles has
him.
like a very like specific like guidelines that he goes by, even though he's, bent on getting the emerald, he has these like things that he won't cross. So like, when he asks him about like Agent Stone and he's like, oh yeah, you know, we'll just go
Hmm.
behind his back, whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, that's dishonorable to do that.
Right.
Do you see like how, so you really can see like in that short amount of time, like how towards the end of the movie, he's like anti Robotnik,
Yeah.
which is,
Especially when he's taking the emerald
yeah,
for himself. Yeah.
exactly.
I
But
think
Sonic saving
too.
him, I think, goes a long way too to show.
Yeah. Like, why did
And
you?
he
Yeah.
saves Tails too in that scene. Yeah,
Yeah. Because he's like, went for the fox instead of the emerald. You
he's
know?
like, yeah,
Yeah.
loser.
Yeah. The other thing that made me laugh was oh, it's totally gonna go away now. Oh
Oh,
no, but yeah, that's okay. If I remember, we'll
is it
talk
every time Jim Carrey says later haters?
later. Hey,
When he's falling off the robot at the end, even then he's like later hater. So I don't know why it's so funny to me.
it is really funny actually. No, that and all of his other like one-liners that he makes.
Yeah.
Oh man, they're so good. I laugh. I don't
I
remember
so
what it was.
I just was talking about this morning. We got when we had coffee this morning, we had lattes, and McKenna got this nice latte. It had like this nice art on the top.
Oh,
So I immediately was like, "Oh my god!" That scene where Stone he's making the latte art of Jim Carrey's face with the mustache, and this big burly guy, he just takes a spoon and just goes, stirs the cream, stirs it all. Oh my god!
yeah. And then he's like, freak. And he walks away. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah.
But I love when
Then
so Jim Carrey lands back on Earth and he just texts Stone and just says, "Make my latte," and
Yeah,
the robot, the whole coffee shop turns back into like this like world headquarters, and they even start using like the actual like Robotnik logo.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good thing you said that. Remember when he's inside the robot, he goes, "Oh, Stone, how did you learn to do that?" And he goes, "It's all right here in the,"
Oh,
and it was like a Sega, like,
yeah, it was the
insert
actual
for,
like
yeah. I was like, oh man,
yeah,
that was
super
cool.
cool. I really like that.
But you're right, like inside when they were showing it, and I like too that like the robot and some stuff on that screens that you're talking about in the cafe, there was like descriptions of how Robotnik looks like in the game. Like the robot
Yeah,
looked
right.
like him, but also there was some imagery on in the things. That's the one
I
thing I wonder if they're gonna make him like it's only like this strange that he's not like fat, like huge.
mhm.
You know what I mean? I get he's supposed to be a real character. He's not supposed to be a cartoon character, but it is weird that like that is his thing is that he's like rotund.
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder in the third one if they'll something happened to him.
I wondered, I wondered if like he was gonna like he fell. You know what? Honestly, ooh, good thought. What if like he fell and he's like paralyzed and like he's in a robot suit and it's like big and round? It's basically like a
Yeah,
miniature version of that big robot, but it's him. Like
I
his
can
head
see
sticks
that.
out.
I can see that for sure. Yeah,
I know
that'd be
he's
cool.
definitely not gone. I mean, unless Jim Carrey doesn't want to come back, he's
No,
definitely not gone.
I don't know why he would not want to come back.
Yeah. Yeah.
I honestly really enjoy seeing Jim Carrey like again, and also in
I
these
know.
movies. He's
I
so
know.
good. He's so good. Like the like
He really
Robotnik
is.
when he shows back up and he gets like his new like suit
Yeah.
on,
With the
and he's got
collar.
the
Yeah.
big mustache and the goggles. It's so good, man. It's so
Yeah.
even if with him
Yes.
not like even with him just being skinny, it's more like menacing almost. You know?
Yeah. It is. No, it is. Him that scene you're talking about where he's getting like the mustache trimmed and he's getting like the
Oh, the
mouthwash.
robots are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I love that
Ooh.
scene too with Knuckles. Knuckles is like punching his way up the mountain.
Oh
And
yes.
he's like,
That's
you
what it
think
was. Yes.
you think these robots can take me? I've been there's stairs. It like pans
Yes.
out and they're like the robots are like stacked up the hill so we can like walk up.
Oh yeah. That was
Oh,
exactly what it was.
Oh,
That's
the
the thing I couldn't-
stairs.
Oh yeah. That I
Forgot about
believe
that
I
one.
can't take these things down with one swipe of my
Oh, they're
Oh,
becoming
man.
stairs. That's so good.
Uh,
Oh man.
yeah, that made me
But yeah,
laugh.
it's cool to see him too, like in the actual like egg pod, like flying
Yeah.
around.
Absolutely. I like the
Yeah.
thing at the end too with the credits when they had the like boxes over it and then they had like the little text when he was
Yeah.
like Eggman.
Oh,
And he was
yeah.
like, that's right, I'm
I-
back. And
I think that's why I remembered this one more than the first one because it had like actual like story, like dialogue.
Oh,
It had
okay.
like comic style, like characters talking to each other.
Yeah.
And it was more like stuff I remember, like the racing and the
Yeah.
stuff. It seemed like more. The other
Yeah,
thing
it
we didn't
was-
talk about in the first movie was like, you know how like MCU has their intro is Marvel and it's all the
Oh.
characters.
Yeah.
But it seems like the Sega company now they have like their own like
Yeah.
intro where they're
Yeah.
showing like Sonic and all these other things. and it pans out and it's the Sega, and it's just a Sega.
Yeah. I always try to
Should
look.
do
They
the
have gold. They have Golden Axe in there, and I'm like, yeah,
Mhm.
Golden Axe.
I know. They should do the old school Sega that I remember as a kid when I would try to play at night and the TV was still loud from the morning and I didn't remember and it would just echo through my house. Sega. I remember the one that like screamed.
Yeah.
Sega. Oh, thanks.
The one I always remember the one they do it in the movie. It was like Sega. That's what I
Mhm.
always remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do remember the one like him shouting at the guy.
I'll have to find it. Oh man. Yeah. So what else? I'm trying to think what else in the movie specifically. Um, yeah, I don't know. That's about it. I
I mean, we
think
jumped
that's
all
about
over
it.
the place, but
Yeah, we always do.
but
That's what happens when
no,
you
I mean
talk about like why you liked it and the things that you liked from it. You're always kind of like, oh, and
yeah.
then remember that one time
Yeah.
Sonic get the ring. I
Yeah,
do
I
like
mean,
I like at the wedding. I like at the wedding when he puts the wrong ring on the pillow and he like throws the ring in slow motion and
yeah.
it lands in the grass and he's like, uh oh.
I genuinely, yeah, you're 100% right. I forgot too. Good thing you said that because I genuinely enjoyed that scene because, okay, the cell phone interrupts. I was like, okay, here we go. Because I was thinking, like, how is this? I was like, oh, did James Marsden and the lady who plays his wife like not want to be in this movie? Like, hey, go to Hawaii. See you later. Like, I didn't know what they were going to do with the movie. It was so weird to be
Yeah.
like, just send them off and then have Sonic have this like thing by himself with Jim Carrey. And I was like, oh, okay. And then stuff goes on. The ringtone messes it up. I was like, okay. He goes, okay. And he throws the ring and it goes in the grass. And I was like, oh, did Robotnik do something? I didn't even think it was the wedding ring.
Yeah.
I thought, like, oh, Robotnik must have done something or something.
Well,
And
because
he
he does
goes,
that
no.
magic trick. Yeah.
Yeah. And so when he goes over to it, he goes like, "Oh no!" All of a sudden, I genuinely was like, "Oh no!" Like to myself, like the movie actually like got me like I was interested to see how this played out. Like more so in the rest of the movie, I was like,
Well,
"Oh,
that's an interesting question. Like, what would happen with one of those rings if you like put it on your finger?
true."
Probably nothing, right? Because you have to like envision where you want it to go and then throw it.
Yeah, I think really I don't know. I don't know.
But what's interesting too is like the echidnas have that technology too, because in the beginning, when Knuckles or the
Yeah,
echidnas and Knuckles show up on the Mushroom Planet, they come
yeah,
through a
yeah,
ring
yeah.
portal. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think so does Tails.
Yeah, does he?
Yeah, it's how he pops out of a thing. Yeah.
What's cool too is they give Tails a backstory like he's kind of an outcast on his planet,
Yeah, yeah.
which is interesting.
I like too that they gave him his full name,
Yeah.
Miles.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
I
was
like that
cool.
too. And I like that he's like a techie. I like his like technology, his
Yeah,
like scanners. He's basically from Star
that's
Trek. He's got science scanners, he's got
yeah.
tricorders,
I think
like
that's a lot more
boomerang.
from the cartoon series. I think
Yeah.
it's a lot more from that.
Yeah, the cartoon series fleshed out like a lot of stuff. Like I mean, you're talking about video games that don't like have dialogue or anything. So the
Yeah,
cartoon like really
it's
fleshes
just
out.
it's just him going like.
Yeah. That's the one thing they haven't like done in the movie. They haven't shown like Sonic like crouch and like spin. He's
Mm,
always like he jumps and turns into a ball, or he just is a ball.
true.
But I
They
love
kind
so like
well,
when
they kind of did when he first attacks Knuckles. Kind of like sort of.
yeah, well yeah, they show him like he gets down and he like crouches into like and jumps into the ball.
But that's thing that you can do in the game where you like hold down and he's like, "Nee,
And you
nee."
can
Yeah,
like build speed and then like burn out, which like honestly like in the movie it's more realistic to have him like crouch like a runner and do like
Right.
his leap, his jump into it.
Yeah.
But I just remember like playing Sonic 2 so much, like 2 player too, that when you play his Tails, Sonic will like jump and he'll do that jump where he like will jump, and like if you're Tails and you go above him, like
Yeah.
he flip on.
Yeah.
And that scene when he like they take off on the mountain and it's just
Yes.
Tails
Yeah.
flying. It's Tails flying, and it's just very like iconic. Like Sonic is like holding on. And it's like exactly the same.
Yeah.
Like
No, it
I
really
love
is.
that.
Me too. Yeah, it was good. That whole sequence, like when they get to the temple. Well, not the temple. It's like I guess it is a temple. It's like the hidden cave,
Mm-hmm.
and then they find like the look like where they
Oh, right.
understand the map
In
better.
Siberia.
Yeah,
They get the compass.
compass. That's what it is. Yes. Yeah, that whole sequence is really good. Like from getting like going and finding the compass to like escaping, and then um him trying to save Tom saving him is like really good. Like that whole stretch is a really good
Yeah.
sequence of events.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah,
So that's
honestly,
like
just
I like that um that's kind of what my name on here is. Just like when Jim Carrey shows up. And he goes, "Oh, if it isn't the pastry king." And he goes, "It's Donut Lord." It's like, oh, that's the hill you're gonna die on. You're gonna
yeah, yeah.
you're talking about semantics based on your donut nickname.
If it isn't the pastry king, yeah.
The other funny thing too is like Wade, when Wade like goes to arrest Stone, he's got his bike helmet and it's
Oh
got the little
yes,
light, the lights going up.
yeah.
And he's like, "Why do you have a light on your head?" He's like, "Because I'm the sheriff in town
Sure.
this weekend, buddy." It's like that does not explain or qualify why you have a
That doesn't tell me anything. Yeah,
there was so. And then when Robotnik comes in and he tells him,
yeah.
he's like, "Sit," and he like goes to like sit on the floor.
He's like,
And then
no, I'm the chair.
he frees Stone, and he's like, "Oh yeah, well, because you see, because like he was already in the chair, and like I
Right,
didn't know."
right. Yeah, that, and he says he's trying to feed him the bagel.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I
I'm
don't
gonna
want
ask
the
you this
bagel.
one more time. Do you want cream cheese? That's a
It's on your
display bagel. That's a
right.
display bagel. But even when like Tom and his wife like show up, and the National Guard's like, he's in there with some, I don't know, some
Oh
idiot
yes.
cop, and they're like, Wade. Like they just immediately know.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Not good.
So, what are your 2024
Yeah.
predictions for Sonic 3?
For Sonic 3. Well,
Yeah.
Shadow.
Okay. Oh.
Oh, I don't know why. So I don't know. So I don't it's kind of like the era of like Sonic that I was already kind of like grown, not like out of, but like
Yeah.
I wasn't like super into it anymore, or like had access to it.
Yeah.
I know Sonic gets a little weird in that time frame. Like Shadow, when they introduced like Shadow the Hedgehog video game, it was like an open world style like game.
It was something
And
different. Yeah.
he had guns, like he ran around with guns and like
Yep.
shoot things, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. And then like after that, like there was like Sonic the Hedgehog, and he becomes like a were hedgehog, and it just kind of goes like off the rails.
Yep.
So I don't know. I don't really know the story of Shadow, other than I like playing as him in Sonic Racers because he's like a drifter. So and then I know there's like Silver the Hedgehog too, but like I don't know anything about their storylines. So I'd
Yeah.
actually kind of be interested.
All I know is like he originally was like kept in stasis to like battle diseases or something like that. Like they were using him to like find cures to things, and then basically at some point later, like Dr. Robotnik like frees him to like conquer everything, like to take over the earth and stuff. That's like really all I kind of know about his character.
So you're saying like the government, like the
That thing that
like
he
Earth
references, that
government.
GUN thing, is like from
Hmm.
it's from Sonic. Do you remember? You know
Oh,
what I'm talking?
gun, yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting. So that's kind of why they have an interest in like capturing Sonic too, because he's
right.
an unknown life form, essentially.
I think he's. Well, I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do in the movie. I just know that he's like a Shadow is like a. I think he's like a genetically made thing. I think.
Yeah. See, that could be interesting too, because like now it's like everybody in Sonic lore becomes like a good guy at some point,
True.
you
True.
know.
Hmm.
So we just saw that movie. We just saw Knuckles become good and like become their friends. So like, what are they gonna do? Well, again with like Shadow. Shadow comes into play, and then he starts off as a bad guy and becomes a good guy at the end of the movie. That could get kind of redundant. I
That's
also
true.
wonder if they'll introduce like Amy.
Oh, the
Is it Amy?
the pink, the pink one, the pink
Is it
hedgehog.
Peach? No, it's not Peach.
I know you're talking about. You're talking about his like
I
girlfriend.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure her name's Amy.
Let me look it up. Amy Rose.
Amy Rose. Okay, good.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Add more. I say add all the characters you want.
Well, that's true. I didn't. I didn't think about. Didn't think about that. That yeah, like doing this shadow thing and then just having them be friends at the end of it would be
Mm-hmm.
kind of boring. Maybe not. Maybe it'll just be Robotnik and him,
Or what
Robotnik
would
and Shadow
be
versus them, and just like
yeah, or
that's how
what
the
would be
movie
nice is
ends.
like if Sonic and everybody like frees him and then he becomes partnered with Robotnik at the end of the movie. That would be, that's kind of the opposite of what happened in this movie. And then in the fourth
Mm.
movie, they could kind of go the other route with him. Just so it's not like back to back, like, oh, he's a good guy now.
Yeah, yeah.
Shadow was
It was
always
funny.
more of like a darker character anyway, as
Yeah,
far as like for Sonic lore.
the thing that always makes me laugh is I never really watched the animated series really that much at all. I saw a couple episodes, but the thing I used to have like 20 or 30 of them was the comics,
Mm-hmm.
because up at when we'd go to Old Forge up north and stay, we that little like there was like a what do you call it, like a gift shop place was
Mm-hmm.
there. Now it's like a coffee shop by the arcade, but it used to be
Oh yeah,
the raccoon store. The place
it
has
was
like
a
the
pizza.
raccoon
It was a
symbol.
pizza place, and yeah.
So they used to just have random stuff there, and in there was they had a tower of comics, and they had like Hershey and Scooby Doo. They had like
Mm-hmm.
really kind of like but they always
Yeah.
had Sonic comics, and I was just like, well, I like playing the games, like I'll read these. So like every year, I'd have like issues, like I'd go up there and I'd read like issue 11 and 12, and then next year I'd read like issues like 19 and 20, like I just have to like piece the story together.
That's funny.
Yeah. So I had a lot of them.
Yeah. He's a cool. Sonic's always been a cool character.
Yeah. Well, that kind of leads us into it, because the funny thing is like we talked about last episode, like you and I grew up on Sonic and not so much Mario.
Yeah.
I like Mario. I don't have anything against them. Those games are fine. I was really into Mario 64,
Yeah.
but but It's funny that like now, sadly, our next movie isn't Sonic 3.
I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah, but yeah, so basically, but so when I was growing up, I had a Genesis and I played Sonic, mostly two. Two was like my game, two and
Okay.
three. But I had a Nintendo. I had what the heck was it even called? I don't even remember what the name of the Nintendo. The big square one before 60
Super Nintendo was before that.
Super Nintendo. So it was a Super Nintendo, right? Because it
Oh,
was
okay.
Nintendo 64, and then it was GameCube,
Yeah.
right? So I had a Super Nintendo, the big square one. You had to open the lid,
Yeah.
put the big
Yes.
flat disc in, shut it. You had to
Yeah.
blow it
Yeah.
every time you wanted to play something.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I remember like my dad bought us like when the day it came out was Super Mario 3.
Oh wow.
And I played the crap out of that. I loved Mario Brothers. I love Mario 2 and Mario 3, with
Yeah.
the fox hat and running around with, I loved that.
Yeah.
The frog suit.
Yeah.
But that was kind of it. I mean, I never bought the next I never bought a 64. I never had a GameCube. I
Gotcha.
didn't ever even had a Game Boy. So
Oh
like I was
wow.
already
Okay.
like I was already like out of Nintendo stuff. I pretty much went from like Genesis, Super Nintendo to like PS1. Like
Okay.
I skipped a few generations.
That's funny.
Yeah. And that's kind of how it
Yeah.
went. And then it was just Sony ever since.
Yeah. I grew up playing on my dad's old like MS DOS. They had like the Commodore 64.
Yeah.
I grew up playing that when I was like up until I was like 5 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all those like text based adventure games.
Oh
And
yeah.
then they got me a Game Boy and I played that thing. I played that thing
All the time.
all the time. That's when like Pokemon came out and you're playing
Oh
Pokemon
yeah.
on
Yellow,
that.
Pokemon Yellow and Red.
Oh man. That's all I did was play that thing.
It really
And there
wasn't
was
until
I
like
had
later on in life that I played those games. I played those games on like a simulation on the computer.
yeah. I used to play this they had like a Ren and Stimpy game. I could
I
that
remember
and
that.
Kirby's Dream Land. I could play that. I could beat those games
I
in like 20 minutes.
So Noah, I remember growing up, Noah had a Game Boy, and that was like the only time I like would play on a Game Boy. And like that Ren and Stimpy game,
Yeah.
it was black and white too. It wasn't even in color. It
Yeah.
was it was on
No.
the Game Boy black and
Right.
white. And
Yeah.
Kirby, I remember him playing Kirby all the time.
Kirby. And then
Yeah.
after that happened, I never had a Nintendo or a Super Nintendo. I only had a Sega Genesis. And I had it for a long time. And then one day my parents surprised me with a Nintendo 64. And I played that till my eyes fell out of my head.
Huh.
And then
Yeah, because that was like Yoshi's World, right? And
yeah, GoldenEye, Harvest
oh,
Moon,
see, I played
Smash
GoldenEye too,
Brothers.
but Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I totally missed out on like Smash until like it came to the Wii, and you'd go over to like a
Yeah.
friend's house and you'd play like Wii and you'd play Smash Bros on Wii.
Right.
But even like Mario Kart, like I never played Mario Kart. Like I would go over to like Noah's
Yeah, man.
house and he had like Mario Kart on the PC. So
Oh, okay.
we'd be like huddled on the keyboard and it would be like these three buttons. You drive your little cart around and you shoot your little
Yeah,
and you're on this side of the keyboard and you're on this side of the keyboard.
yeah, yeah.
So it was like I never played those games on a TV or anything until like way later, like basically until the Wii, and then you go. Everybody had Wii. Like
Right.
everybody, you go to like an older like a retirement home, they had Wii's.
Yeah, it's true. That's
And then
funny. Yeah,
yeah,
I didn't get a PlayStation 2 until I was like in my mid to late teens.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think me too. I think, man, what was it? Was it a 2 or a 3? I think Noah bought me a PS3
Oh wow.
for my graduation.
Oh wow. Okay.
so we could like play together. And I think I bought my PS2 off of like my brother. My brother, his wife bought him a PS2 like for their anniversary one year when it was like new.
Oh,
And
that's
it
cool.
was like it was cool because it was like the thin, it was
Oh,
like
okay.
it was this brand new console, like you hadn't seen anything like it. Like
Right.
Xbox was huge.
Right. Right.
Xbox with a PC, and
Yeah.
everything else was like it was GameCube and like Xbox 360, and then the PS2 was like this black, like thin tower.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was so like futuristic. It had this like little thin button that you'd push and the disc would come out. Like, man, this thing is cool.
Yeah.
And now that we're like into,
I know.
it's like everything now is thick again because it is more powerful than like your desktop computer now.
Oh, yeah. I know. I mean, now you're like you and I both have them now. We have switches, and
Yeah,
you're like
yeah,
you're running
right.
like full on like heavy duty games on that.
Yeah,
It's in your hands.
I played Fortnite on it the other night, and it's like it doesn't look
Oh,
any different for starts.
that's cool.
But it's like I can't I can't play I can't play a shooter on it. Like it's it's
Oh,
so
okay.
it's so hard to like aim
I can
to go from
imagine.
like your controller where you have pretty good like muscle control to like a
Yeah.
controller where your buttons are like this and you're aiming
Oh,
down here and you're running up here and it's
ugh.
or vice versa. Yeah, however.
I know what you mean
And
because
then
they're
like a
like
little
slightly
tiny
they're
trigger.
slightly off.
Yeah, they're off. So you're kind of like you're not like in sync. You're delayed
Yeah.
almost. And then they're so small that the
Yes.
they're so small that like sensitivity is like it's crazy.
I can understand that. Yeah.
But that kind of goes
That
back to
makes
my
sense.
thing that we were talking about before, where it's like, yeah, there's like awesome games on the Switch, but like I don't know if I want to play that on the Switch.
It's true.
Thinking
Yeah,
about
that's
like
true.
RPGs and stuff where you're in menus, you're swapping spells and potions and your weapons and you're dodging and rolling and blocking. It's like I don't know if I
Right.
can do that on the Switch.
No,
The Switch is
no.
like Pokemon. Like I can catch Pokemon and I can like maybe play Zelda and swing a sword. That's probably about it.
Yeah. It does kind of feel like games that are made for made by Nintendo play the best on that. And I
Uh-huh.
think that's just because, right, like the developers, just like when they make things for PlayStation, like they design it so that like it makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it's based on
When
the
you port
controller.
when you port that stuff over, it always has a hard time. My
Yeah.
favorite's when they port a PC game to console and you try to play
Hmm.
it. It's just like, okay, well, if you just hold down these three buttons and then you
Yeah,
push
right.
up on the joystick and then smash circle at the same time.
What do you mean there's no WAS on the controller? You have to go back to like analog. Remember back in the day on like PS1 and 2 where like the there wasn't even like Joy Cons. There was like
Oh,
triangle, circle, X, square, and then there was like up, right, down, left, and
yeah,
it was still like an analog, like moving analog
yeah,
instead of like an actual like thumb
joy, yeah. I do
joystick.
remember. I mean, yeah. I mean, you think about the going back to Sonic. Like, you just think about it. It literally was just like a
Oh,
pad and
dude,
then like three buttons.
it was A and B,
Yeah,
ABC,
ABC with Sega. It was three
start,
buttons.
start,
Select.
and select, and up, right, down, left. That
Yep.
was it, and
That
it was a big
yeah, it was
moon.
like curved.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, Sonic. You got this big. And
Uh,
then if you go back to like Super Nintendo, that was like
oh
A and B and like down and up. It was like, and it was
yeah,
square. Remember?
I think Super Nintendo was like it had like beveled. It was like a square and then beveled, and then it was up
Mm.
down left right start select, and then it had like X Y
See,
A B and the click things at the top.
that's not the one I had.
Oh, you just had a regular Nintendo.
I used to have, yeah, so I must have had just a regular. It was just the rectangle box that hurt
It's
your
just the
hand
plus.
because it was sharp, square, and it was 3 buttons.
Yeah, it was
And I
up,
played
down, left,
Techno
right.
Bowl.
Okay, yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes. That's
Techno
the original
Bowl, Super
Nintendo.
Mario 3. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because it's up, down, left, right, start, select, and A B, and it's square and rigid, and that's all it is.
It's so funny. We sound so old when we're talking about it because it's like, I remember when they went from cartridges to a disc and you put the disc in. I remember the first time I saw a disc reading video game system.
Me too.
I was on like one of my mom's like jobs and like they had one. And I was like, what, how does that
Yeah.
work? And they like push the button and the thing goes, psh. And he's like, see
I
this?
know.
And it's like this paper thin like CD,
Yeah,
and then you just clip it in and it just spins. It was like, what? What?
yeah, it was. Yeah, yeah. I mean, to go from to literally like they were discs to not huge cartridges was like
Yeah.
mind blowing.
And that's why I like the Switch because it's cool to go back to like a disc, like
Yes.
a chip, like a chip, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it kind of hurts too because it's like the price point for the video game,
Oh,
and then you take it
yeah.
out of the package and you're like, all right, let me just put this in my Switch. Like, oh my god, that's $60 for this little tiny SD
I
card.
know. It's hilarious.
Oh well.
But
Yeah, it's weird. Well, yeah, so that'll cover it for Sonic and our
Yeah.
video game corner.
yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, we like it. We like Sonic 2. We like Sonic 1. Might like
Me
Sonic
too.
3. We'll see.
Yeah. You know what we need to do next time too,
Uh-huh.
some other time, is do our just like our top 10 movies. We need to do our top 10 video games.
Oh geez. Yeah, that's a good like of our lifetime, essentially.
Yeah, like of all time. Yeah. Just like favorite top 10 movies of all time.
I don't think
Top
I could
10.
list. I don't think I could get that down to 10.
No.
I don't think I get that to 10. You know what else we need to do?
Yeah.
We need to do Desert Island 5.
Well, right now at the end, let's put our desert things in the.
Oh yeah.
Just
Oh,
immediately.
surprise,
It's also.
Shawshank.
Yeah.
Sonic 2.
Sonic 2. Yeah. Pretty good. Yeah, we gotta do that too. We will do it.
We're waiting for Mario to come out because that'll be on our Desert Island for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Not the new one. That's not what you meant. You didn't mean the new one.
No, I wasn't talking about the Chris Pratt. I was.
No.
It
It only gets better. It only
with
gets
a.
better.
Oh yeah, not looking forward to that.
But we're like I said to you.
I don't know how this thing like chooses. It like chooses what to get rid of and what not to get rid of. Interesting.
I just say it's just gonna make
Yeah.
censored.
That.
It's going to no matter. There we go. I wonder what's in there.
Something good. Something good.
This one, like the one thing I said was the only good thing is it's no matter, even if the new Mario movie isn't that fun and that good, which it will be fine, is it won't even matter. Won't even matter.
Won't hold a candle.
No.
I kind of think that I am going to really enjoy watching that, to be honest.
The old one you're talking about?
Yeah. I've never seen it all the way through.
Oh,
and I've never really like sat down to like enjoy it. So I think I'm really gonna enjoy
I think you're in for a
it.
treat.
On it. It's sheer stupidity and just you know,
It's
if it wasn't called Mario, it'd be a fine movie.
yeah, it was insane plumber movie.
It's cocaine plumber.
Pretty much. I mean, really,
Have you
that's
seen
really what
have you seen
I've
the
seen
trailer for that
adverts for it. Yeah.
for that new stupid oh my god, what is up with that movie?
I guess it was a headline
They have the
that
audacity. It's like based on true events.
yeah, I guess there was a real life newspaper headline that
Get
this
out of
this
here.
bear ate like 10 million pounds 10
Kilo.
like US dollars
Yeah.
like an amount of $10 million worth
So
of
like
cocaine
5 grams. Yeah.
and died like in 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
And so the editor or the
Yeah, his
writer of
heart
the story in the
exploded.
newspaper, oh yeah, and the editor or somebody in it for the newspaper wrote like, man, I wonder what those 5 minutes were like for the bear, and that's the movie.
Yeah. It's 3 hours long.
Right, exactly.
So stupid. Oh god. I don't even want I don't want to talk about it. I keep seeing it advertised. I'm like, what is this stupid?
I think it's one of those weird things that it does well because it's so stupid. Everybody goes to
Mhm.
see it and they're like, "Oh, it's actually not that terrible." Not saying
You
it's
know-
good. I'm just saying.
You
I
know
think
who
it's
will
like,
love it is everybody who didn't like Ant-Man. They'll love it.
yes,
Best movie of the year. Best movie of the year, hands down.
Yeah.
I am looking forward to like maybe we can talk about 65 too.
Okay.
Did I unless I got I don't know if I got rating yet.
I don't know.
I haven't looked.
Who knows?
Adam Driver.
There's dinosaurs here.
Kylo Ren fighting dinosaurs. It's a cool concept that like they're in the future and they crash land like in the past.
Yeah. It is a
With
cool
like
concept.
65. And you're like, why is it called 65? I'm like, because they landed 65 million years ago. Oh, we didn't see that twist coming. Guess what? There's dinosaurs. There's dinosaurs.
I was we were talking about it and we thought remind you of Turok, right? Like
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Like sci-fi futuristic dinosaur.
that or Dino Crisis.
Dude, I love Dino Crisis. I love those games.
So
If I were ever to like to build an arcade, it would be
Mhm.
Dino Crisis.
yeah,
With like the laser, with like the actual like
yeah.
that'd be so good. Love it. All right. Well, let's wrap it up. Cut it out.
Wrap it up.
All right. Well, that'll cover it for Sonic 2.
Yeah. None of this made
Bunch
it
of-
into the
bunch
cut.
No, it's all there. This is end of the movie nonsense. These are the these are the I can't even my brain's fried.
Like the bloopers at the end of the movie.
These are the credits. Yeah, these are the credits.
Yeah. Like,
All
oh,
right.
I know this guy. Wow.
Oh man. All right.
Whatever.
Well, that is it. We will see you guys next time. Next time you see us doing a movie review, we will be talking about the Mario Bros. 19 what 80
90,
90
90, I think 1990. I don't remember.
directed by the Parker brothers.
Directed by somebody. Directed by somebody. 93. I was close. 93.
Spoiler alert, it was actually Michael Bay's first movie when he was like 15.
it's a good thing when there's two directors.
Oh yeah. That makes sense. It seems like a movie that would have two directors.
Yeah.
Yeah. One said, "Hey, the Goomba looks like this," and the other one said, No, it doesn't.
Well, then I'm leaving.
Well, then I quit. Yeah. Great. Well, look forward to that because we're not. Okay.
No.
It'll be worse than Clone Wars, I'm sure. Well, I don't want to get crazy. I don't want to get crazy. That's right.
I think context wise, yes.
Story wise, no. Great. All right. Well, we will catch you guys in the next one.
In the next one.
Your powers combined, I am Captain Planet!
Welcome to the Space Jam.